I've been a trucker for over 12 years, and I've driven some of the loneliest highways on Earth. But nothing messed me up more than what happened in the middle of the Northern Territory, somewhere along the Stewart Highway in 2016. It was just after midnight. I'd left Darwin earlier that day, hauling a standard container south to Adelaide. The road was empty, just flat, dry land stretching endlessly in every direction. The kind of road where your mind starts to drift, where even hallucinations aren't uncommon if you're too tired. I started to feel that deep, numb exhaustion you get after 10 hours behind the wheel. Eyes dry, music no longer helping, caffeine wearing off. I didn't want to push it. So when I saw a small rest stop coming up on the GPS, I decided to pull over. It wasn't marked on the main map, just a small clearing symbol with no name. Odd, but not impossible. These roads have dozens of unofficial stops. When I got there, it looked pretty basic: a dirt loop off the highway, a rusted tin shelter with 2 benches, an old bin, and a single decayed signpost that had no writing left on it. But as soon as I stepped out of the truck, I realized something felt wrong. The air was heavy, still, and dead silent. Not quiet night silent. I mean truly silent, like someone had muted the world. I didn't even hear my own footsteps crunching the dirt. I walked toward the shelter to stretch my back. That's when I noticed a strange set of tire tracks looping around the area. Multiple times. But only one set, like someone had been circling here over and over again. They weren't fresh. They weren't old. Just there. Then I noticed a wooden board nailed to the back of the shelter. It wasn't an official sign, just a jagged, hand-cut plank with letters carved into it. Do not sleep here. It finds you when you sleep. I stared at that sentence for a long time. It was almost funny, like something you'd see in a creepypasta. Probably a joke left by another trucker. Then I heard it. A clicking sound. Soft at first, like something tapping metal. It came from behind my trailer. I froze. I shined my flashlight back toward the rig. Nothing there. I slowly walked around the truck, shining the light along the ground. That's when I saw them. Footprints. Barefoot. Human. In the red dirt. Circling my truck in a wide loop. They weren't mine. They were wide-set, like someone had been pacing slowly around me. Around the entire rig. And they stopped exactly at the driver's side door. I climbed into the cab and locked the doors. Didn't even think about sleeping after that. I just turned the engine back on and drove. 4 hours. When the sun started to rise, I pulled over at a proper roadside servo. Full lighting. Cameras. People. I got out, walked around the truck to check the tires, and I saw it. Another set of footprints. Smaller. Like a child's. But barefoot and deep in the dust. Not from the servo. They were caked in the same red soil from before. They stopped at the back of the trailer. And ended there. When I checked my GPS history, I tried to figure out where exactly I had stopped earlier that night. The location wasn't listed. I zoomed in on the satellite view of that stretch of road. There was nothing. Just an empty patch of dirt where the rest stop had been. No shelter. No track. No sign. No anything. If you've ever driven across the air highway, you know how brutally empty it is. Especially across the Nullarbor Plain, a place so flat and lifeless that your brain starts making noise just to fill the silence. It's beautiful in the way a desert is beautiful. But it's also wrong. I've done the Perth to Adelaide route dozens of times. But the night this happened, I was alone. No convoys, no backup. Just me and my rig, hauling fertilizer across 1,600 kilometers of near-nothingness. I was somewhere between Majura and Eucla. That stretch is so barren, Most of the time you don't even get radio. But I kept my old CB unit on anyway. Some guys still use it out there, mostly out of habit or boredom. That night, the air was thick with heat. Not a breeze in sight. Around 3:20 a.m., I started getting that weird pressure in my ears, like before a storm, except the sky was clear. The CB crackled to life. "Breaker, breaker, do you copy?" The voice was calm. Male. Slight static behind it. I leaned forward and responded, "Yeah, copy that. Who's on?" Silence. Then, after a few seconds, "Stay awake." I paused. Thought I misheard. What was that? "Stay awake. Do not stop near the white trees." That got me. Because about 40 kilometers ahead, there's this strange grove of white gum trees. One of the only features along that road. Kind of a marker. I'd even parked there before during the day. So I responded, "You messing with me, mate?" They wait by the white trees. They look like people. But they are not. I laughed nervously and shook my head. Classic trucker humor. Bored guy with a CB radio and too much caffeine. But then I saw something in the distance. A figure. Standing between the white trees. I slowed down. At first, I thought it was a kangaroo or maybe a hitchhiker. But the closer I got, the more I realized it was just standing still. Upright. Too still. Not moving, not turning. Just facing the road. Then I saw another one. Exactly the same. A few hundred meters further. The CB crackled again. "Don't talk to them." Now I was getting uneasy. A few minutes later, I saw a parked truck on the side of the road. Headlights still on. Cab door open. No one in sight. I slowed down just a little, looked into the cab as I passed, completely empty. In the rearview mirror, I swear to you, I saw one of the white figures walk toward the truck. The CB came alive again, but now the voice was different. Same tone. Same pace. But female. He stopped. He looked back. Now his hours. That was it. I floored it. Didn't stop. Didn't slow down. I didn't even check my mirrors for the next 2 hours. By dawn, I was at a fuel station near the WA border. I asked the guy behind the counter if he'd heard about people pulling pranks with CBS along the Nullarbor. He just looked at me and said, "You heard the trees, didn't you?" I didn't say a word. Back in the truck, I shut off the CB completely. I haven't turned it back on since, not even once. But sometimes, when I'm driving alone at night, I swear I hear that same static hum in the background. Like something's trying to reach me. It was late 2020, peak pandemic, and trucking jobs were all over the place. Dispatchers were scrambling to move freight, and a lot of shady runs were floating around. I usually avoid anything without proper paperwork, but one night, I got a call that felt different. The dispatcher was someone I'd never spoken to before. He had a flat, almost robotic voice. Said he had a rush load that needed to be moved out of Brisbane to a holding yard about 6 hours inland, near a place I'd never even heard of. No paperwork, he said. Cash payment on drop. Sealed container. Non-hazardous. No inspection required. The pay was double the standard. And I was behind on rent. I agreed. The pickup was in a remote industrial lot behind a row of half-demolished warehouses. When I got there, the place was completely empty. No guards, no office lights, just a metal container already hitched to a trailer, sitting alone in the dark. I checked the seal. Brand new. Tight. I called the dispatcher. Just drive. Drop at location. No need to contact again. Click. I should have walked. But I didn't. The first hour of the drive was uneventful. Roads were clear. No weird noises, no shaking. I even started convincing myself this was just some off-the-books military junk or medical waste. Then, a few hours in, somewhere past Toowoomba, I started hearing thuds. Not random bumps. Rhythmic impacts. From inside the trailer. Like something heavy was shifting. Then came the second sound, more specific, more alive. Scraping. Long, sharp metal-on-metal dragging, like claws across steel. I pulled off the highway onto a service lane. Flashlight in hand, I got out and approached the trailer. The air around it felt wrong. Still. Cold. Like walking into a sealed freezer, even though it was a summer night. The outer shell of the container had long scratches running down the back panel. Deep. Curved. I leaned closer and heard something inside. Breathing. But not human. Heavy, unsteady, like something injured or angry. I stepped back, hand hovering near my pocket knife, even though I knew it wouldn't help if that thing decided to come out. But it didn't. It just stayed quiet after that. Almost like it was listening. I got back into the cab, locked the doors, and kept driving. At 3:47 a.m., I arrived at the drop site, another unmarked yard at the end of a dirt road. A man was already waiting there. No vehicle. No flashlight. Just standing alone in the dark, wearing a black jacket and gloves. He didn't speak. Just walked up to the trailer, checked the seal, then handed me an envelope full of cash. I asked, "You want a signature?" He looked at me, expressionless, and said, "No record." Then turned and walked behind the trailer. I pulled out immediately. Didn't even bother counting the money until I reached the next town an hour later. Inside the envelope, a full payment in crisp Australian bills. But there was something strange. Each note was dated 2001, perfectly preserved. Not one newer than that year. I tried calling the dispatcher the next day. Number disconnected. I checked the company name on the side of the container. Fake. Registered in 1998. Dissolved in 2003. And worst of all? A week later, my rig started giving off this smell, like rot and rust. Even after cleaning it, it never went away. It clung to the cab, the seats, the vents. I replaced the filters. Washed every inch. Nothing worked. Some nights, when I sleep in the cab on long hauls, I wake up at 3:47 a.m. Every time. And I swear I hear scraping. Like something remembered where I took it. And now, it's waiting for a return trip.